You not mad at me. She's still good. She's still got all the good man life. She's still, she's got all the good man life. Look at her. She's a bad settle down with me, cover me up, cuddle me in, lie down with me and hold me in your arms, and your heart's against my chest. Lips pressed to my neck, I'm falling for your eyes, but they don't know me yet. And with a feeling I forget, I'm in love now. Kiss me like you wanna be loved. You wanna be loved. You wanna be loved. This feels like falling in love, falling in love, falling in love. Settle down with me, and I'll be your safety. You'll be my lady. I was made to keep your body warm, but I'm cold as the wind blows, so hold me in your arms. Oh no, my heart's against your chest, your lips pressed to my neck, I'm falling for your eyes, but they don't know me yet. And with this feeling I'll forget, I'm in love now. Kiss me like you wanna be loved. You wanna be loved. You wanna be loved. This feels like falling in love. Falling in love. Falling in love. wanna be loved. You wanna be loved. You wanna be loved. This feels like falling in love.
Hello to all you lovers out there. Juan and G here with another episode of Ask Juan and G. I'm Juan.
And I'm G.
And we're going to just jump right into this week's question.
Deep dive into the question.
You know, and today is the first. Today's the first lesbian-centered question.
Yeah.
Our first question from a lesbian. So let's do.
And it's about sex, because we know everything about lesbian sex.
I know, right? So
no pressure.
All right, so she writes, I date a woman and I am her first girlfriend. So of course that is a challenge in and of itself. My issues are that she wants to learn more, or says she does, in the realm about same sex or how to be intimate, etc., but does not put forth the efforts to do so. I have to initiate everything. Definitely not something I'm used to. I take my time, I really do. I show up, I come up with creative ways we can both learn. I make the first, second, and every other moves. That's funny. I never make her feel, or at least I don't think I do, make her feel like she's dumb in that area. I say we're both learning new things. She says she is inexperienced in the areas of intimacy. So how do I, as the partner who has been in the life for 10 years, start over? I have been patient, but at times it looked like she does not get it. She does consider herself bisexual, which is another topic for another time.
Send it to the girl.
But I tell her, in a sense, many ways in pleasing a male and a dominant stud are similar. I actually lay it out, what I like, what I do not like, just to make it easier. She even told me once that I do tell her, but she does not know why she doesn't do it. Not always, but at least try something. I mean, this is becoming boring to me. I love her, but I really need help in trying to keep the fire and spice when I'm the only one playing ball. How do I go about this without being inconsiderate, impatient, or too pushy? I love her and we've been together over a year now, but the intimacy and sex is not there unless I do it. Sorry for the long message. Emotionally drained boy.
Actually, I really like the message. I like how you wrote it. You were very detailed. But did she say how long they were together?
Over a year.
Over a year. So, obviously...
What are your thoughts, G?
Obviously, you know, I don't have any experience in lesbian sex. But you know, when it comes to sex and intimacy, I think there's a universal thing about it.
Yeah.
And I think,
absolutely,
for me, the thing that jumps out to me in this question is not so much the act of the sex and what she can or cannot do, but I feel like there's a mental block there.
That's, yeah.
I feel like an emotional, mental block there that she needs to get past to be able to open herself up to even know how to please you or feel comfortable enough to please you. And you know, part of that may be this is her first, you know, sexual experience with a woman.
Yeah, first female relationship.
Right, so there's a lot of things that go along with that. I mean, is she completely comfortable being with a woman?
Looking at a vagina?
Yeah, is she completely comfortable with that? I just think there's a lot of questions there to ask, and I think it's beyond the bedroom. It's beyond what you're trying to do physically with her to get pleased physically, but it's definitely mental and emotional to me, and I think that's what you guys need to talk about.
Yeah, unfortunately, in my opinion, I don't think that there is anything that you can personally do to make that change with her or to acknowledge what's creating the block. However, you can start the conversation. You can ask questions.
You can provide the support.
Absolutely. So yeah. I think the first step is to say, look, okay, you've already acknowledged what your problem is, but look at it from your partner's perspective. And I think to ask her, like, how do you feel when we're having sex? Like, what goes on in your head? Like, what are those internal thoughts that you're thinking? And that might give you a little insight. How do you feel emotionally? Are you emotionally vested? You know, I think those are probing type of questions that you can start to ask to get to the crux of this issue, because like you said, it's mental and it's emotional. I don't think it's necessarily the physical act that she won't, because she even said, I mean, you tell me what you like, I don't know why I don't want to do it. She knows why, she's just afraid to say.
Yeah, and maybe she doesn't, and she doesn't even know how to recognize it as well. I mean, it's just such a discomfort. She might want it, you know what I'm saying, but she might can't even let her guard down to do that. Like I can remember back in my, you know, first experiences being very inexperienced, and even not just inexperienced being with the man sexually, but just inexperienced being gay, period. You know, there's just some stuff there that I think that it's mental, and she just needs to get past, and that's what she needs to deal with. And but she has to recognize it within herself.
Yeah, and then you have to make a decision if you want to be there to support her through this transition, because she's definitely going through a transition, even a year into her first relationship. Like, she's still an infant. So I would say be patient, be understanding, you know, talk to her from a place of love and caring, not a place of dissatisfaction.
Right.
You know,
and it sounds like you've been handling that pretty well. But I think the same efforts you've been putting into the actual physical act, put that same effort into helping her open up emotionally and mentally. And start having those conversations and create that intimacy between you two. And I think the rest will follow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely. So we hope that helps.
That helps. And thank you for, you know, trusting these gay guys with that series. But that just goes to show you
have the same issues that we had in the bedroom.
Go figure. Relationships are relationships.
Yeah, right? There you go.
By the way, lesbians will be at Escape Puerto Rico. Monica's gonna be there. Ariane's gonna be there. Lots of lesbians gonna be there. So you come on out.
Stone's gonna be there.
Who?
Angie Stone.
Oh, that's Angie's a straight sister. You hear that? But yeah, meet us in Escape Puerto Rico. EscapePR.com. Memorial Weekend, May 27th through May 30th.
See you there. Peace.
How about you, sir? All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Intimacy with Juan and G. I am your host for this evening. My name is Tamara Manigo. All right. I am also the host of Morning Tea, an online radio station on NYPS Network, Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Come and get your mugs, honey, because I'm here to bless you. All right. 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get all of this thing started. We have two wonderful, amazing men here who are going to bless us mightily with their insight and their wonderful wisdom as it pertains to intimacy with relationships and dating. After this session, if you have not, please go on YouTube and subscribe to their page, Juan and G. And honey, I need you to follow up on every last episode that they have. I watched a few of them earlier on today. They gave me life and life more abundantly. Okay, especially the one about the baby daddy being on the DL and needing help. 2 parts. We needed some more parts. It's going to add up on in there. Okay. Now, before we get started, I would like to say this is a safe zone. This is a free zone. Okay. So we're going to get raw. Okay. We're going to get a little bit open, just not too open. Okay. Stick with us. I'm going to bless you tonight. All right. Juan and G, if you would not mind, could you please introduce yourselves and give us a little spiel about not only yourselves, but your relationship with Frank and NYPS and that nature. Can you hear me good?
We can hear you kind of good. We're gonna do the best that we can with hearing you. But I'm G
and I'm Juan.
And first of all, thank you guys for having us. We are so excited. Hey, Jamie. We are so excited that you guys are like us enough to even ask us to come on the show. So thank you so much. But yeah, so Juan and I, we met about 8 years ago.
Almost 2 months ago.
Yeah,
8 years.
almost 8 years ago in May, right after Sizzle, actually. We met here in Atlanta at a restaurant. Fell madly in love with each other almost immediately. Maybe about a year later, a year and a half later, we got married. So we've been married for almost 7 years now. And since we got married, we started different ventures. One of the first things that we did was the Gentleman's Ball. Some of you may have heard of it, but we do the Gentleman's Ball that has also turned into the foundation.
Right, the Gentleman's Foundation. Just a little bit about that is we're dedicated to the healthy development of gay, bi, and trans men of color. And we do all types of events and programs and initiatives such as Men's Health and Wellness Fair, the Gentleman's Ball Honors, as he mentioned, Healthy Happy Hour to get us out there, get physically fit, and our Circle of Trust, which is tackling the issue of mental health, wellness, and depression in our community. So.
Right, and which is how we met Frank. We met Frank probably early on. Frank is obviously very active nationally. So as soon as he saw the Gentleman's Ball, he reached out to us, and we've been working together ever since. So I love Frank. And I think he loves us. So the feelings are mutual there. But we also have a love and relationships blog called Love Works. So we publish articles there. We also do the YouTube shows like you see here, where we answer questions. We do various interviews. And we're also working on a new show that's going to be coming out this summer, so be on the lookout for that.
It's really exciting.
Really exciting. And we're also about to launch our relationship coaching services, relationship and life coaching services. So we'll be here to be able to do one-on-one coaching services. So that's Juan G.
Yes. Okay. Hold on just one moment, everyone. All right, so please bear with me. I have some additional sounds going on behind me, but nonetheless, I'm here for it. So at this time, we're going to get into. I'm going to start with some questions, just some generalized questions for you, Juan and G. And then after about 25 minutes or so, we are going to open the floor, okay, for Q&A from everybody else that's paying attention. So maybe, hopefully, I done asked the right questions, okay, so we can really stimulate conversation. Because I feel that is what's necessary, okay, for our development. We have to have good conversation, not just conversation, but good and meaningful conversation. Yes? All right. So everyone, okay. I will let you all know when the actual Q&A board will actually be up and running, okay? All right, cool beans. All right, so Juan and G, my first question. What would you say is the first or the most important principle as it relates to relationships?
The most important principle.
What's interesting. We just answered this question yesterday.
We did. I mean, the number one thing we feel that makes us most successful in our relationship is being self-aware.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, relationships are here. People are brought into our lives to help us grow, and that our partner is the same. And with that, our partner challenges us in every way imaginable. I mean, the person that's closest to you is going to be the person that's going to challenge you the most. So, and with those challenges, it's important that you always remain focused on yourself. What am I bringing to the situation? What am I to learn out of this situation? And we also need to be really aware of our behaviors, different things we bring into the relationship, and which will help the relationship grow.
Yeah, I mean, I think being self-aware kind of removes the victimization of situations in a relationship. I know, speaking personally from my testimony, I used to love, and still sometimes do, being the victim. Always saying, well, you did this, you did this, you did this, instead of taking accountability for myself, my actions, and my feelings, and saying, no, I am having this reaction. I am feeling these emotions. me. It's all about me. Yes, the situation involves both of us, but I'm having this experience, so I need to take ownership of that.
Yeah, and the more you become self-aware, the more you grow, the more compassion you have for your partner, the more forgiving you are of your partner, and the more forgiving you are of yourself. And, it just creates a harmonious relationship.
Got you.
So
now,
what you're supposed to take away from that,
Right.
is stop pointing the finger.
Right. Well, when you can point the finger, just point it back at you.
Right.
Just point it this way, because I
Right.
guarantee you. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I was taught when you point that finger, you got one finger pointed at them, and you got at least 3 fingers pointed back at you. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're talking about self-care, you're talking about self-awareness. Now, in the spectrum of a relationship, it can be kind of a hassle because you know how it is in a relationship. You all glued up. You want to be hugged up, laid up, all the rest of the type of stuff. You go out on dates together. You play video games, all this other type of stuff. Now, what do you do as far as individually for yourself? Do you guys within your relationship, for instance, set aside time for Juan time, G time to do that self-awareness or to help sharpen your self-awareness?
Well, I'll say this. Self-awareness, it is not necessarily something that, you find self-awareness in what you're doing in every situation, no matter who you're with, alone, by yourself, with a coworker. There's always opportunity to become more self-aware. You just always have to continuously examine yourself and why you're doing certain things that you do so you can learn yourself better. Now, when it comes to, and to be honest, but when it comes to like having the me time, it's probably something that I think that Juan and I are actually just now probably really getting the hang of getting into, because, when we first got together, it was, every day we were glued at the hip. We were madly in love, so in love, we didn't want to be apart. But you realize as time goes on, and I think it maybe took us a little longer than it probably should have, to recognize that you do need to take some space and time away and time to yourself. So I think that, and we've gotten to a point where it's not like, okay, every Monday, Juan and G have a separate time, but it's just like when you feel like it, when that time comes.
It's I think it's about understanding the phases that relationships go through, and so understanding that in the honeymoon phase, everything's roses and flower petals and all that. So you want to spend all this time together. But then as you are moving on into the deeply connected phases, there's times where your identities can become so blurred. And that was especially the case with Juan and G, because number one, we're Juan and G, we're out to a lot of people. We have our show. We are friends, so we want to hang out together. We are lovers, so we do the things that the family does together. It's just always been Juan and G, Juan and G, Juan and G, and not knowing how to separate. Because I know I had difficulty accepting that G might want to go and do something without me, even though I was having the desires within myself, and so I think that's where the self-awareness comes in. So I have to have a conversation with myself and say, why, if you're having the same feelings, why are you making it such a big issue that he wants to exert his independence or carve out a lane for himself? So it's just having those conversations and understanding that's important, because I am an individual in this relationship, so we can't do everything together. We can't be glued at the hip. That's just unhealthy.
Yeah, and it's quite natural to want to, you meet your partner or you meet your boyfriend at first, and it's, oh my God, we are so alike. We love all of the same things, and we go to like the same movies, want to do everything together. And that's usually how it is in the beginning. But you have to carve out that time for yourself, because you get lost. And I think why I say that, I think we might have figured it out too late, because we did get lost within our relationship, and we had to kind of take some time to figure out, who we are as individuals. So that's what we are now. But I think we do a good job of, if I need some me time, I take some me time, and he knows not to take it personal. It's nothing against him. But what I do like is that, or what I try not to do, is take me time when things may not be going so well between us, because then it can be he could take it personal. But when things are not so great between us, I try to make sure we're good, before taking that me time, because you don't want any messages to get, you know, misconstrued.
And I also want to add that if you find yourself being too attached or losing your identity, you know, sometimes our natural instinct is to run or to say something's wrong with the relationship, so the relationship needs to end. And I think, no, that's just a sign that's saying a dynamic needs to change. Mm-hmm. And so understanding that it's just something to work through, not run away from, and just use it as a learning tool for life.
Yeah.
Amen. I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it. Because listen, because I feel the same way. I have no problems, baby. If you got to go and if you got to play ball with you, gone. Here, just gone. Okay? Because I know that when you come back home and it's me and you, baby, it's on and popping. You know what I'm saying? I'm comfortable with myself, and I've learned how to be, I learned how to be comfortable with myself alone, not lonely.
Yeah.
So, and when two people can come into a relationship in that way, or even if you start out and you're not that way, but you work on it together, it brings so much more fulfillment to the relationship, because you two can stand on your own, and then together y'all can do something. So everyone, in case you have not figured this out, okay, I want you guys to get on this here chat line, okay? So while all these questions are going on and while they're talking, if you have any questions, I repeat, if you have any questions, we don't care what it is. If it's about the boom boom room, post your questions about the boom boom, okay? The boom boom room is sex, in case you don't know, all right? Put it on in there. What I see, I will post, I will get up on out there. We're going to ask all these questions. I do have while y'all were talking, I was getting messages on top of messages, okay? All right, are you ready? Here's one. What was the most difficult obstacle in stabilizing y'all's relationship?
Say it again.
What was the most
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. What was the most difficult obstacle in stabilizing your relationship?
I know, the most difficult obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'd have to say the most difficult obstacle is to not take everything so personally. I think that oftentimes in relationships, we can really get caught up into thinking that it's always all about us. And anytime our partner does something or acts a certain way or might have a certain mood or whatever the case may be, we always think that it has to be something to do with us. And we just don't all the time understand that, hey, our partner has their own life. Although we are a union, they also have their own life, their own challenges. They have other things that's going on that does not necessarily have to do with me. So I think being able to not take things so personally all the time helps stabilize the relationship for me, because I didn't allow my energy or my mood to change so often. If Juan might be feeling some sort of way and making it all about me, and then it's coming out in ugly ways, and it starts arguments, and so I think that was one of the biggest things for me.
The biggest thing for me has to be, hands down, discovering some ugly truths about myself, and accepting those truths, and realizing that I was bringing all of this emotional baggage into the relationship unconscious, like unbeknownst to me. So really digging through therapy, through some of my past experiences, and understanding how they were affecting how I relate in my relationship. My life changed after I was able to accept those past hurts and pains, and then develop a different way of being in the relationship.
All right. And so what do you think about the labels tops, bottoms, verse, tops, verse, bottoms, sideways, around the corners?
Well, I don't like the labels. I'm not a fan of the labels. I'm not a fan of roles. I think that we could sometimes get caught up in, what it means to be a top. Like if there's a definition out there what it means to top, then you associate all of these different characteristics, all of these different things, all these different behaviors that it means to be a top. So, if you consider yourself a top, then automatically I have to adjust to these behaviors, and that means I have to get with a bottom, and they have to act this certain way, and then you kind of discover and have these challenges because you know what? Hey, I'm not that way. I'm an individual person. Yeah. So I think that we are all individual labels within ourselves. We all like what we like. I think sometimes we can, let some of the stigmas and some of the stereotypes associated with some of these labels prevent us from expressing ourselves fully in our relationships. And so I think that labels are something that we need to completely let go of and just be ourselves. And whatever that is, if that's you wanting to penetrate somebody, if that's you wanting to get fucked, if that's you wanting to do whatever you want to do in the bedroom, that's just who you are, and it just doesn't matter if that's supposed to be a top, bottom, or versatile. Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, but I think that labels are important because it gives us a framework from which to navigate life in this thing that we call gay sex. So if you trying things out and you don't like one and you don't like another, so by default, I'm a top. I think taking it to that next level with the gender roles and then that you're supposed to act like this and blah, 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 like that's just putting doves on it. But I think we need the terms in order to, label it and identify it and to have that framework. But I agree with you when you say, if you like what you like, so just engage in what you like and let all the psychological BS go. Mm-hmm.
I certainly agree. And I agree more with, I want to say, okay, I agree with more with one than the other. All right? Because for me, listen, okay, I'm going to just put it straight up on that. For me, baby, okay, I love some good top. All right? But I also like to get popped on, so I need me a good oral top. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't got time for a bottom because there's only room for one queen in this here relationship. She must be me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got time for none of that foolishness. So the labels, it does offer a framework, right? So I know what I'm dealing with. Okay, so if you approach me,
I just want to say, allow yourself to enjoy being with the bottom in the future. Just be open to that. You never know what goodness might.
See, here's the kicker. I did that. I tried it, and I can't. I researched it, and I found out that I can't. I can't.
No parts of it?
No pause. No pause. Child, that thing was
weird. I'm aware. Let's talk a little bit more about the label thing because, what happens 2 years in a relationship and desires start to change. I mean, Juan and I have been together for 8 years, and desires have changed within our relationship throughout those 8 years. And luckily, we didn't say, "Oh my God, you told me you were this label, now I got to leave you." So what do you do when your partner decides they want to try a little something different after a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 years of being together?
Yeah.
So how do you manage that? Denmark.
Yeah,
Demark,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Demark. It's Demark. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and answer that because my first relationship, I'm not going to lie. So, of course, you already know that I'm the bottom and he was the top. But what I did not realize was that before he got with me, he was a bottom, right? So then as we were in our relationship, he came up to me one time and he was like, he wanted to get penetrated. Excuse me? By who? And he said, by you. So, and at the time I was head over heels. I ain't gonna lie, because you know how it is with your first. You know what I'm saying? I loved him to pieces, so I gave it a shot. I gave it a good couple of tries. It was okay, but I can't. I see a butt and I'm thinking thrusting power. Sorry.
My thing is, sex in a relationship to me is only one small portion of the relationship. So allowing that one slice to dictate the entire relationship to me is quite unfortunate, to kind of give up on a meaningful, seemingly healthy relationship just because sexual desires have shifted. You know, that just seems a bit shallow to me. And so that's why I feel like the being open to exploring or to changes in desires and all that is so important, because we all are humans and we all evolve every day. And so I don't like chocolate cake today, but I might like it in a year from now. Same with sex. I might want to suck a penis today, but tomorrow I say I don't ever want to suck a dick anymore. You know, where does that leave the relationship? We're still here. The other aspects of our life are still intact. It's just this one sexual activity that is changing. And to me, that's not a deal breaker. But for some it is. I understand that. But to me, it shouldn't be.
I got you. I can understand that. I can. Okay, so we have another question. All right. So here it is. We all know the saying, if you don't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love someone else? So here's the real question. In order to fall in love with a partner, can your partner teach you to love yourself? Or are you just That's a powerful question. You want to hear that question again?
We're reading it.
We're reading it. So we all know the saying, if you don't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love someone else? My question is, in order to fall in love with a partner, can your partner teach you how to love yourself? Or are you not ready for love if you do not fully love yourself? That is a pretty good question.
Yeah.
I definitely think that, loving yourself is an ongoing thing. I mean, that's a lifetime commitment. You know, sometimes you're going to love yourself a little bit more than, other. Lead you and provide tools and knowledge for you to work on loving yourself. There's only so much your partner can do, but I think your partner could be a great example of how to love yourself. But I think I want to go back to what we talked about earlier. The real way to love yourself is to really be self-aware. Be aware of who you.
Okay, Juan and G, hold on just 1 second, babies. We lost your audio. Let's see if we can be able to do some things and get it on back on schedule. Okay, we don't know what's happened. It's internet world, child. You know how it goes. Lord, be offensive. We getting good. Do me a favor. Give me a couple little words and see whether or not you're back on with us.
Yep. Can you hear us?
Blessed. See, all you have to do is speak in an atmosphere. Things shifts. Go on and see what you got to say.
I forgot what else. Oh, so I was saying that, I'm not sure where I cut off at, but, I was saying that love is an ongoing thing. I mean, it's something that you're going to work on for the rest of your life. I do believe a partner can help, provide tools and knowledge and, inspiration for you to be on the track to loving yourself. But it is something that you have to do on your own. I think that the way to do that is to be self-aware. Just going back to what we was talking about earlier. I think you just have to constantly question your behaviors, have to constantly question yourself on why you do the things you do. For instance, if you're dating someone and you might have sent them a text and they didn't text you back in a couple of hours and you find yourself getting extremely upset. Why are you getting so upset at that? That's a trigger for something else that's deeper within you. I found out, through my relationship with Juan and being self-aware, a lot of stuff goes back to childhood and how our parents raised us. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that we lacked as a child. I lived in a household where my parents were pretty much emotionally unavailable. I lived in a household where I often felt ignored. And that shows up a lot in my relationship. I often feel like I'm being ignored by Juan sometimes, or maybe I'm getting on his nerves. And that's just because those are issues and security issues that I've had in myself way prior to meeting Juan. I think if all of us probably think about our relationships, you can probably see common patterns of things that you've done in your relationships. That's because that's who you are. That's not what that person brought to you. They might have helped bring them out of you, but that's who you are. And those are the things you need to start questioning. And when you start questioning that, finding out the answers to those questions, you just naturally love yourself a little bit more because you're going to be growing and you're just going to be knowing more about who you are.
For me, I think you first need to determine and define what love is, number one. Because for me, love is not a destination, but it's a journey, and it's ever evolving. Like, my definition of love changes. So in order to know that you love yourself, you have to know what the love is, what it looks like. How do you honor yourself? How do you appreciate yourself? How do you how confident are you in your abilities and skills and what you bring to the table? So that's number one. But do you have to be in this fully in love with yourself place? No, I don't think so, because relationships are here to teach you. So maybe that's a lesson you need to learn from that relationship, how to love yourself more. So I don't think that, people say, oh, I have to be ready to be in a relationship. And for me, it's like, well, what does that readiness look like? There's always going to be another degree. There's always going to be more money to make. There's always going to be X, Y, and Z. So whenever that relationship is called into your life, it's up to you to answer that call, and then your work begins. And I think a lot of people don't understand that relationships is work, like constant, never-ending work. And it's not to say that it's devastating or excruciating all the time. Definitely some parts are, but understanding that work, self-love, is something you will discover, and you'll begin to have a relationship with yourself based on how you are in a relation with your partner. So no, don't wait. You find somebody you love, dive in head first is what I say. Throw everything.
Oh my. Okay. Hold on just one moment. Juan and G, could you please get your audio back and call in once again, because we lost your audio. All right. So in the meantime, while got you. Now while that's going on, hopefully you guys can still hear the next question. So then by the time that you log back on in here, you'll be good and ready to answer it. All right. The next question that I see, and I got to go in the order in which they all came. Okay, so bear with y'all. All right. Do you believe that heterosexual relationships can or should be compared to homosexual relationships? Are we? Gee, I think your audio is still gone, baby. Juan, turn your audio, unmute yourself. See how that goes. Unmute, please.
Can you hear us?
Lessons in favor? Yes. All right. Did you get the question?
I think you asked, should we compare heterosexual and homosexual relationships?
As in, do you believe that heterosexual relationships can or should be compared to homosexual relationships?
Absolutely not.
I mean, I don't think that you should compare any relationships, especially heterosexual relationships. I think a lot of times, and it's normal. I won't say normal, but it's easy for us to do that. You don't even know what I want to say. It's easy for us to do that because most of us grew up in heterosexual homes with heterosexual relationships, and that's the only relationships that we've been able to see. But I think that it's important to try not to compare your relationship with anybody's relationship, because everybody's relationship is completely different. You know, a lot of people may think they know what Juan and I's relationship is. Like, oh my God, you guys are this, and that. And I listen sometimes, I'm like, well, no, we're not. But I love my relationship and I'm completely happy in it. But you don't know my relationship. And so I think that, you know, it's important to not compare your relationship. But when it comes to heterosexual relationships, I think a lot of times, you know, us as gay men can get into relationships and try to get into those heterosexual norms within the relationships. And I think that is a #1 killer sometimes of relationships, because we do try to fit in these different roles that we are just not meant to fit in. So no, it should not be compared.
It's like a heterosexual relationship is one man and one woman. A gay relationship is one man and one man. They are by definition different. So you can't compare an apple and an orange. So why would you compare a hetero relationship to a gay one? They just have different dynamics. No matter how feminine a guy may be, no matter how macho a guy may be, he's not a woman, he's a man. And men have different emotions. They deal with things differently. From a physical standpoint, psychological, emotional, we are different beings than women. So trying to compare, I mean, it just sets you up for failure, in my opinion.
Amen. And the same thing with women in women relationships.
Hey,
It's
absolutely.
totally different. Babe, it's a totally different can of paint. I have overheard some dynamics between lesbian relationships and child.
He's just like, I would never be able to deal with that. But
okay, I'd be like, I don't know how the hell, because if had it have been me, who cuz? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that dynamic is totally different. But I do believe that as far as comparing, no. But I do believe that there are overarching principles and overarching tools that translates between all spectrums of relationships, because it's interpersonal. It's between one person and another. And then once you have those guidelines and the foundation, you can build your house however you want to build it.
Right.
Yes?
Right.
Okay, I got 2 more questions, and then we should have enough time for people to open up and hopefully raise their hands and actually give y'all some personal from them, straight out the horse's mouth. Okay, this next question I do have is it realistically possible for young gay men to have a successful long distance relationship? I like that question.
I feel like every long distance relationship needs an expiration date for the distance. If there's not a plan to move to the same city, to me, the relationship is destined for failure. And I think that time frame should be a year or less, especially if it's at the beginning, like if you meet in separate cities. Now, there are different types, like it may be circumstantial where I have to leave and go for work, but it should be a finite time, because you can't have an effective, healthy relationship where you communicate and you are growing a life and you are one in separate cities. To me, it just can't happen. I don't care. There's not enough plane tickets, phone calls, any of that stuff to make up for that physical connection.
I have a little bit slightly different opinion. I think that, you know, first of all, you have to, the question is, can you have a successful long distance relationship? You know, I think first of all, you need to determine what you consider a successful relationship. So, you know, what is a successful relationship to you? I do know of couples that prefer to not live together. You know, I know couples that are living city to city, and that's okay with them. So I think, as I said before, our relationships are different. If you are honestly, if you honestly can have a what you feel is a successful relationship and a happy relationship with somebody who's long distance, then I think that works for you. I just think you need to be honest with yourself, though, and honest about what goes on when you guys are long distance. Are you having sex with other people while in long distance? Because typically that's one of the biggest things. We have to have sex, right? So you need to discuss that. So if you're having a long distance relationship, is this an open relationship, or are we making sure that we're staying monogamous and we're getting sexually satisfied and we're meeting up with each other and all those different things? But I just think that you have to be honest with yourself and what that successful relationship is to you. and make a decision from there. I just don't think it's a yes or no answer for me.
Well, and to that point, I think it's also what you want out of it, not just what success is, but what are your goals? Like, do you want a family? Do you want kids? Do you want all of that stuff? Because to me, you can't have all that living in two separate cities.
Yeah, that's what you got to figure out. Whether it's success, is family success? Yes, then y'all should be together.
I don't know if y'all can see me, but I'm over here rocking and bouncing because you done got my nerves.
We see you.
You done got my nerves, child. You done got my nerves because I see it like this. And I'm gonna add. I know. This is my advice, right? Because I do agree there needs to be a finite time established where the two of you are going to live in one city. I definitely agree. Okay, but when you sit here. Something in my soul just
that's too long
because it may be too long because I definitely want that. I need you by me, but I can definitely handle myself. My issue is that it's a matter of risk, right? One person. It shouldn't be one person giving up everything to come to the other person, in my personal view. It needs to be mutual. There has to be something mutually left, betwixt the two. That's just my spiel. Because you can end up traveling and going on down there, and the relationship was beautiful long distance, and all of a sudden it turned sour, and you can't afford to get your hopping johns right on back to where you come from, and now you're stuck, and now you're going to be calling up me for advice, and I'm going to come right down there and whoop your ass. That's just how I feel.
And another part for me why I think for a relationship to be successful, you have to live in the same city is because you don't know a person until you live with them. You don't fully know a person. You live with them, you see all of their quirks, idiosyncrasies, all of this stuff comes to light. When you're in a long distance relationship, you're seeing the representative. You're seeing, for the most part, I would think, you're just in bliss all the time because, you only see each other every so often. So you're going to be on your best behavior or seemingly. It's just like a vacation relationship, I think. That's what it would feel like to me. Unless you live together and you're in the same city and you're building this life. Now we don't have his.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because our wonderful staff is working this thing. Shouts out to our staff of NYPS, honey. They are doing the thing, unmuting and mutings, keeping all this thing going. Now, it's getting hot. Technically, we're supposed to have 8 minutes left, but I have to pose this question to you two real quick. Is it all right that we go a little bit longer?
Sure, we can go about 10 minutes.
Amen. Blessings and favor, y'all. All right, y'all. Buckle your seatbelts. I have another question that came on in. Here we go. And this is really deep. Here we go. When should you tell your partner you are HIV positive? Boom. Disclosure. Come on.
I think you should tell your partner whenever you feel like it, as long as you guys have not had sex yet. I mean, I think it's definitely before you guys have had sex, but up until that time, I feel like it's when you feel like it's time. Now, if the discussion has come up, if they ask, I think you always tell the truth. Or if you're not ready to divulge that information, then you say, I don't want to discuss that right now. I'd like to discuss it later. But always tell the truth. And I think it's before you have sex, or if you haven't had sex, then it's when you feel comfortable enough to share it with that person.
So I agree. My question to whoever posed that question is, when I hear the word partner, I feel like we're already in a relationship. And so if we're already in a relationship, I should already know your status.
Right.
So
it's definitely during dating.
Right. So if we're calling it a partner, then in that conversation where he asks you to go with him, you need to say, hold up, you need to know I'm HIV positive before we move forward. But in a dating circumstance, definitely before that sexual intercourse occurs, that's when you need to disclose that information. But if you my partner and I don't know you got HIV, we're gonna have some issues because now I feel lied to, I feel betrayed, I feel like you didn't care about me enough or trust me enough to share that information with me. You were being deceitful. Hello?
Yes, I agree. I definitely agree. Plus, from a legal standpoint, if you don't disclose and the person finds out, you can be
Right.
legally prosecuted. You're going to find yourself with a bunch of other people. You're going to have mighty, mighty fun with you. Okay? That fun you might not like. Okay? Okay, just putting that on out there in the atmosphere. Oh, okay. Oh, I like this question here. Okay. We are noticing mainstream Black men openly talking about getting ate out. What are your thoughts?
Getting what?
8 out. Straight guy, I assume.
I'm assuming that is because, honey, in our world, we already know that that's already an understatement. You already know what to do. Thanks, God bless.
I think it's great that straight men are being open about their sexuality, about butt play, about their desires, because it shows that everyone is essentially the same. We like the same things physically, damn near, and it's just owning your sexuality, owning your truth, and I love it. You know, I remember when I was a freshman in college. This was in 2000. One of my best friends at the time, he's a straight guy, and he said he told me that his girlfriend liked to eat him out, and back then, 16 years ago, I was like, what? A straight guy wants to get eat out, blah, 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 blah. That means you're gay. You know, but thank God I've evolved, and I think it does make you gay no matter what type of sex you, if you like a finger in your butt or you like a tongue there, that doesn't make you gay. That just means you know what you like and you like to be stimulated.
I agree. I don't have much more to add to that. I mean, I agree. I think it's great. I think that sex is so dynamic. There's so many different things that go on with sex and so many different things that we like. And the fact that we're talking about and admitting it, I mean, hey, we all have the same body. And like Juan said, it doesn't make you gay or straight. I mean, we all have the same tools. We can get the same pleasure out of them. So I think it's awesome.
I agree, honey. Whatever you do, that's what you do. All I know is, okay, I ain't gonna say nothing. All right, the next, hey. But I do know this is written in our Constitution: what goes up must come down, and as many times as it gets up, it's my duty to get it back down. Glory to God. He's good all the time. Yes, he is. And speaking of church, speaking of the goodness of his awesomeness for creating us in as fearfully and wonderfully made as we are, a question to you two is, do you go to an affirming church or a Black traditional church, and why?
Do we personally?
Yes.
So we're not religious people, first and foremost. Although we both grew up in Christian households per se, and we both grew up in the church, we are very spiritual. We do attend a spiritual center, if you will, when we do attend church. But you know what? We do most of our church is Super Soul Sunday on Sunday mornings in books. So we do a lot of talking. We have a deep spiritual connection. We are continuously working on our spirituality. A big part of that is being self-aware. Notice that current theme. But we definitely don't go to a traditional church at all. I would not step foot in a church that tells me that I am not living my life the way I should be living my life. So my advice is to not put yourself in any environment that is going to tear you apart. And so if that is the church, find another church that is not going to tear you apart. But no, we don't go to a traditional church at all.
That's it. Yeah, I don't have any.
Amen. And I think that's also another dynamic when it comes into intimacy, right? Because it's what you take in, right? Is you bring that into the relationship, and that can adversely positively affect your relationship. Like, say, for instance, just using it as an example, one is you go to a traditional church and you're getting messages of bashing your lifestyle, and that activity and that shame, everything else that it feeds into the relationship. And G on the opposite, and so then it caused confusion in us. I love it. I'm here for it, and I'm also here for the fact that you mentioned that you're not religious, but you're spiritual.
Very, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we all are.
Yeah.
We all are. Some of us may not know it, but we
Right.
are. And I think it's important that we trust ourselves. I think sometimes we put so much trust in some of the religious leaders, but all our answers lie within us. And so those answers are within you. And so I think when you try to look outside of yourself for what you already know, is that's where you're going to go wrong. And you should not step foot in any place that is not going to affirm who you are. They don't deserve you at all.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry. I got locked out for a second. Came back in. I do apologize. We don't know what happened. Okay. Right, y'all. So we got 10 minutes with Juan and G. So if you have any questions, raise your hand. Raise your hand button. If you go to more, which is up at the top, the three dots, click on raise hand. All right. And then we can actually get the opportunity to actually unmute you, what are your name, and we some question. Really the problem in a relationship with someone who is younger than you. I like that.
Say it again.
Can a problem in a relationship, like for instance, someone younger than you? Because I got my thoughts, but y'all gone.
So I definitely think that age can present a challenge in a relationship, especially in the dynamic. G is 5 years older than me, and while that may not seem like a huge difference, it really can, because just from the sheer life experience that he has in those 5 years, he brings a different set of knowledge and experience to the table that, I don't have. And I think that we can, especially in gay relationships, we can kind of what I call the daddy syndrome. When a younger guy dates an older man, he projects this image of father onto him. So now you're not just my lover, but you're my protector, you're my provider, you're my daddy. So I'm looking for all these needs to be fulfilled that you aren't supposed to be giving me, or I'm not supposed to be relying on you for all of that. I'm not supposed to look at you as a daddy, but as an equal and as a partner. So from those vantage points, I think that age can present a problem, but back to the self-awareness, I think you have to understand how you're interacting in a relationship. I know at certain stages in our relationship, deferred to G simply because he was older. Thinking that just because he was older, he was wiser, and therefore my opinion didn't matter as much. So then that presented issues, because while I'm engaging in that behavior, on the inside, I'm resenting him because of my own actions. So it can become very toxic in that way. So it's about understanding yourself once again, and understanding how you're operating in the internal dialogue that you're having, and then